We are in Sefer Breisheet, Parshat Lech Lecha, a paltry 11 psukim in, 10, 11 psukim in, Parak Bet, page 56. Right after Avram Avinu, Sari Menu, and Lot arrive in the land of Canaan, they leave. They go down to Mitzrayim. We talked last time, not to rehash the whole thing now again, but we talked last time about the realities of what to do when confronted with a situation that seems to fly in the face of the promises that you've received. Promises of life, promises that you were told, promises that are national promises, personal promises. Certainly the idea that Kadosh Baruch Hu told Avraham Avinu to go to the land that he will show him and everything will be good, and he got there and there's a famine. Rashi maintains it was a great nisayon. Avraham Avinu passed with flying colors. He didn't complain. He didn't doubt. He just did what he had to do, and he went to Eretz Mitzrayim. Ramban says that he inadvertently sinned because he brought Sari Menu into danger. Actually, it's really two things. One is that he endangered Sari Menu inadvertently, and the other one is that he should have stuck around.
Big difference. One an
Two things.
inadvertent
Those
sin
two
and
things.
a-
Yeah. Those are two things. But the Ramban we saw last time holds Avram Avinu accountable, which is quite something. Is that true for everybody? Is that because he's at the helm of the nation? Is that because of the Maseh Avat Siman Labanim principle that was somehow more in effect for him than for others? But he used the expression "V'daki Avram Avinu chata chet gadol b'shgaga shehevi ishto atzadeket b'michshol avon." He brought her to, God forbid, she could have had a great stumbling and iniquity. Mipnei pachato pin yargeu. He was worried he was going to get killed. Pin yargu, rather. That's one. And two, vayal livtoch b'Hashem sheyatzil tov edishto v'kol sherlo ki yesh be'elokim koach lazor latzil. That should have been, would have been trusting of God. It stuck around. Gam yitziato min haaretz shnitztaveh aleha betchila mipnei harav avon asher chata. Even the fact of the famine, this was also a sin. The fact that he was commanded to go there, Kilakim Barav Yivdanu Imavet, that Hashem could save him from a famine. And that's a very challenging line to read. That's what the Ramban writes, that because of this action, it was decreed upon his children that exile should transpire in the land of Egypt at the hand of Paro. Now, by the by, you can read this pasuk in this line of the Ramban in several ways. Is it on account of his action, therefore the decree happened, or is it on account of this action that the decree happened in Egypt?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because when you look at Brit Ben Abitarim, the covenant between the parts, which we're going to get to in a few years from now, in the 15th chapter, at the rate we're going. So Hashem tells Avram Avinu, you should know that your children will be in a land where there will be in a land that is not theirs. They'll be oppressed and enslaved in a land that does not belong to them. The word Egypt is never mentioned. Doesn't mention Eretz Mitzrayim.
Couldn't it be both?
What do you mean both?
Well, when you said it could be this or it could be that, couldn't it be?
Oh yeah, it could be. Yeah, it could be. I mean, again, the Ramban to me could be read in those two ways, because he ends by saying, "B'makom mishpat shama haresh v'achet," in the place of the judgment, that's where the sin was. That's where the wickedness was. I mean, that's a statement that he's not trying to vilify Avram Avinu. Just trying to say that it didn't make him infallible or with some kind of a halo around his head, that he never faltered. Au contraire, you could argue that we make great models out of those who are dafka imperfect, and that makes them more even greater because of their imperfections, and yet look at their greatness, notwithstanding that. And there is a tendency, that was one last thing I was going to say about this, and let's open for questions. There is a tendency, of course, probably with the advent of modernity, more so than before, and particularly because the advent of modernity led to other pathways in trying to understand the Torah that were, I would say, not with loving hands, but we're trying to dissect the Torah like a cadaver on a table. And that meant that the heroes of the Jewish people had to each one of them be torn down. The counter-reaction to this, of course, is to elevate the Avot and the Imahot to a level of such angelic behavior that it creates a hagiography about them that is not true to Chazal. It is not true to Chazal, what Chazal write about the Avot and the Imahot. But that only amplifies, it should amplify their greatness. And that sort of that counter reaction continues ad hayom hazeh. I'm not mentioning any publishing house or any authors or writers per se, but you'll find it's almost like a counter reaction. You want to tear them down? They're even greater than you realize. They're much greater than us. We could never reach any of the level that they're up to, on any level whatsoever. So I hope
saying a
your
word.
finger feels better soon. Yeah.
Saying a
Okay,
word.
do any of the commentators say that another reason for another consequence for what Abraham did by putting Sarah in danger is setting an example to Lot that's going to be followed in an even more egregious way later on?
That's amazing.
I mean, it's
I'll let you know when we get to
killing.
Parshat Vayera, but that's
Okay.
good. That's a great point. It's a great point. I want to say something else about this, just in defense of those who create a hagiography. There is a Mamar Chazal. Chazal do say that if the previous generations were like Malachim, then we're just people. And if they were just people, then we're basically donkeys.
Yeah.
So and there is a sense of nitkatnu hadorot, but nitkatnu hadorot, that each generation is diminished over the previous generations, which is something that we do adhere to and we believe because it's farther away from Mamad Har Sinai, etc. Nonetheless, it's okay. I believe. I think you have firm footing, which the stance, the Ramban writes that okay. Here, look, Avram, things didn't go to plan. Now, the Netziv of Volozhin, I mentioned last time, just I'm recapping, the Ha'amek Davar wrote in his commentary on the Torah, engaging the Ramban, whom he engages a lot, mostly with great adulation, in fact, and approvingly. But the Ha'amek Davar writes, Avram Avinu was, whatever money he had, he spent it all trying to stay in Eretz Yisrael. He didn't leave immediately. He held on as long as he could, but what could you do? You can't rely on a nace. You have to do what you have to do, and you have to take yourself in hand. And when he could no longer stay in the land, he went. It's not a sin. Now, since last year and this year, I went back and I found the Radak. And the Radak, basically, in a further pasuk, because of what's going to happen next, to your point, that Avram Avinu endanger Sarah, the Ramban writes, and is setting up a path. So the Radak actually writes that there was a law of unintended consequences that he didn't. Avram Avinu didn't realize how one thing could lead to the next. He basically he writes Avram Avinu went down to Mitzrayim with Sarah, and that he started realizing that the people in Egypt were of such low morality that they would not, but they had some kind of morality, twisted though it was, they wouldn't abide just taking his wife away and leaving him alive, because every time they would pass her around, if you will, then it would be really a terrible thing against Avraham. But if they kill him once, then he's off. They've removed the problem. So aval harogoto eino ela pam achat v'achar kach tia mufkeret bahem below Hamas. There's no violence. She's available because it says she's a widow. Ki lo yiyeh la baal. She has no husband. Umizeh pachad Avraham. This was Avram Avinu's fear. V'lo samach al havtachat ha'el sheivtichu. He did not rely upon the promise that Hashem had given him. Now the Radak lived not too long after the Ramban. I can't imagine he's not aware of the Ramban even in this comment. But what he writes is Ki Amar. Now what was it that he didn't trust? To the Ramban, he should have more emunah. He could have done better. The Radak says, no, that's not what he didn't have. He had perfect emunah in Hashem, but he didn't have perfect emunah in himself. And that's what he didn't trust. Ki Amar Shema Yigrom Hachet. He was concerned, maybe I have sins. V'chein pachad Yaakov Avinu, achar avtachat hakel. Same thing, God promised him things. Yaakov was still afraid. Why? He's afraid, maybe I have sins, therefore I'm not worthy of God's love, God's good grace, etc., giving me salvation in this case. V'chein roi l'chol tzadik shlo yismoch b'makom sakana al hanes. And that is appropriate, says the Radak, for every righteous person. They should, in the time of danger, not rely on miracles. They should guard themselves with every means and tactic that they can. So, and he quotes from Shlomo Melech, the book of Mishlei, Ashrei Adam Mefachei Tamid. Fortunate is the man who is always afraid. And that's what the sages say. She'ein roi lo yismoch al hanes. that one should not rely. Ein somchin al nes. That's what Chazal say. Where do they say it? The Gemara in Pesachim. You shouldn't rely on nisim. So he couldn't rely on a nes. He couldn't say, "Brother Shalom, save me. I know we're going into danger. You took her into danger. I had no choice to take her into danger." It's not that he didn't believe in Hashem. He was worried about himself. Am I on the level? And I can't just rest on my laurels and move through this in a blithe manner. I'm going to have to really figure out how I'm going to deal with my problems. Okay, now, sorry.
So this becomes under Radak, Ma'aseh Avot Simon Levonim, and the law of unintended consequences. Hey,
It's part of that.
Boy, do we have to, we're dealing with that all the time,
Yeah.
unintended consequences.
Yeah,
So that's it.
yeah.
It doesn't matter, it matters whether Abraham had done an unintentional sin. What about Sarah? I mean, if
She's
she-
more of a passive player here. You see that Avram is what it tells her, here's what we're going to do. Here's the plan.
But God wouldn't
She
protect
agrees.
her if she hasn't sinned? Or he could still kill Abraham and somehow...
I don't know. I have no idea. I mean, we know, and what we know is, now, what was the plan? I mean, when we read let's read the psukim. Like, we try to understand. So what was Avram Avinu's plan, right? What was he hoping would happen? Like, here they have to go to this dangerous area. So he comes up with this ruse. So vayiki kasher hikriv lavo mitzrayim vayomer el sarai ishto in verse 11. I mean, page 56. Right? Hinei nayadati ki isha yifat mareat. Behold, I know that you are very beautiful. Vaya kiru otach hamitzrim ve'amru ishto zot vehargu oti otach yichayu. When the Egyptians will see you, they will say, "This is his wife." They'll kill me, and they will keep you alive. But ve'otach yichayu doesn't really keep you alive. It's euphemistic language to marry you, which is also euphemistic language. Say, please, that you are my sister. So that I will benefit from this and on your account, and I'll be alive on your account. We'll go back and analyze these words in a moment. But so it was. They came to Mitzrayim, and the Egyptians saw the woman that she was very beautiful. Right? So imagine what's going on in the court of the Pharaoh. The guards come in and tell him, "You're not going to believe who's at the border right now. Wow, it's unbelievable." Right? There's this woman. She's so beautiful. So that's what happened. Now, would you just stop right here, right on this pasuk? Like, what was the plan? What was Avram hoping was going to happen? How is saying you're my sister any better than saying it's husband and wife?
Setting her up to commit adultery. If under your circumstances, which is the vichayu means
To be married
to
or-
be married,
yeah,
as
yeah.
opposed to, well, somehow
Abused or whatever.
they'll just court you and
Right.
the famine will end and we'll get the hell
Right.
out, we'll get out of there.
Right.
So but in this case, he knew that there would be an adultery. That's even worse.
Right. So that's
You're supposed to die for that. You're
okay.
supposed to die yourself
Right.
for
So
that.
that just can't be it, can it?
Right, no, can't be
How
it.
old was Sarah here?
65.
Okay, so I know that
She's
when
10 years younger than Avram. We know he's 75 in
Right.
Israel. So
So I know-
somewhere older than 65.
Okay. So I know when she was told that she was going to have Yitzhak, at that point, she was beautiful then.
89.
She was
Turning 90.
89 and beautiful.
90 and
Did
Chad,
she was she made more youthful at that point, or did she have this youthful look
It sounds like she had this youthful look the
all
whole time.
along for him to be saying that she's beautiful and that Pharaoh would want her at
Right.
65?
Yeah, that's right. That's
That
right.
should only be my look.
Rabbi,
That's right.
so
This session's being recorded, so
Yes.
be careful. Well, one second, Helen, please.
She is when sent away Yishmael, they said she had more nevuah sometimes than Avram.
Yeah.
So if she has that, why is she being passive and letting this happen?
Okay.
Because
It's a
she
great
should-
question, but here's the thing with Nevuah. It's not like a faucet you can just turn on and
Right.
just, it's not like you're checking your phone and you're getting like a signal.
Right.
It's whenever it happens
Uh-huh.
and what you see and how much you see, etc. But by the by, she was considered greater in levels of prophecy and foresight in the divine inspiration sense than Abraham was. That's true, but it was intermittent. So here clearly neither of them. And you could ask an even stronger question: which we asked last time, which might have led the Ramban more to say Avram's clearly culpable here. From this point until we get to the next page, there's nothing with Hashem here. I mean, it says what Hashem does in the background on page 58 at the top, that Hashem is going to give plague to Paro, but it doesn't actually say that Avram and Sarah daven to Hashem. When Yitzchak and Rivka want children, it says that they're davening for 20 years. It says so, but it doesn't mention it here, and so that's sort of, well, why not? So that's kind of what you're saying. Why didn't Hashem just come to Sarah Imenu and say it's going to be okay, or don't go to Egypt, or go to Egypt in this way and that way? It's a good
Unless
question.
she believed more than Hashem will protect me. Because you remember, she's the one.
Yeah, it could
she's
be.
The
it could be. Yeah,
she's going to have adultery.
Yeah, it could
and
be.
They said it's going
But
to be
it
okay.
can't be that Avram Avinu was setting her up for adultery. It just can't be.
No.
It can't be.
No.
So
Right. So what is
think about the family structure in antiquity. Think about how things function. All right, not in our moment, but in the family structure of old. Why is Lot living with them?
He's the heir.
Well, he's not the heir till anyone dies. But
Yeah.
why is Avram hanging out with Lot?
It's Sora's brother.
And he feels
Sarah's
responsible
brother,
for it.
His
right?
nephew?
According to some, it's his
Father died
nephew.
in the
Certainly,
Yeah.
his
Father
father
died in the
died,
furnace.
and in loco parentis,
Mm-hmm.
so you live with the uncle, right?
And he's got to be plenty old too at that point.
Lot.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
it must be. I
not
don't know
a
his age.
20-year-old.
I don't know. No, he's not a little kid. No. So, in the absence of when there's a patriarch in the family, the patriarch, we saw it, Terah picked everyone up and started going. Now Avraham is basically running the family. Yeah. So if you're running the family and there's no father, who's the next person in line who takes care of the dowries and the weddings and the whole thing?
Oh,
The oldest-
Bethuel
Yeah.
Lavan
Bethuel
with
died,
Sure.
mysterious circumstances, the whole story there.
Yeah.
And Lavan, the brother, is the one who's deciding what's going to happen, right?
Yeah.
Avram Avinu's plan, it would seem, is to be able to say to each suitor, I'll let you know. I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I'll let you know. We got to leave now.
Yeah.
The only thing in the plan that one could not account for, because it had nothing to do with how much money you have, per se, just the raw exercise of power, was the Pharaoh. And that's the description, therefore, when they get there, the Egyptians see she's very beautiful. They end up reporting it to the central headquarters, to the king himself, and he says, "Great, fetch her." That's why on page 56, pasuk Tet Zayin, the next pasuk is she's taken to the house of Paro. Ula Avram heitiv ba'avura. He benefits on her account. Vayihilo tzon uvakar v'chamorim v'avadim u'shvachot v'atonot ugmalim. He got a lot of things, a lot of rechush. It was pay,
Bribes.
It's not bribes though. It's you give us the woman and we trade. That's what we're gonna.
Bride price.
That's what's going on. So he gave the bride price. He said, "Oh, you're the brother. We respect the law over here. It's our twisted law of Mitzrayim, but it's a law. So here you go. Here's right now. Is that what Avram Avinu meant when he said Pasuk Yud Gimel Laman Yitav Li Vavorech L'Chayta Nafshi Biglalech?
That's what Rashi says.
So Rashi seems like he's saying, yeah, they'll give me gifts, right? But V'chayta Nafshi Biglalech means I'll stay alive on your account. It's not, I'm going to trade you away. You get some loot and barter you away to somebody. But when they get there, when Paro takes Sarah Imenu, he gives all these gifts, right? And then when you get to the next page 58 at the top, the v'chayta nafshi biglalech, you'll stay alive, which could have, meant he's going to stay alive. But instead, it's the second half of V'hargu oti v'otach yechayu. It says at that moment, Vayinaga Hashem et Paro negaim gedolim v'et beito al dvar sarai eshit Avram. So there was a plague that hit Paro and all of the people in his household, and they knew that it was on account of Sarah Imenu being there. Vayikra Pharaoh la'Avram vayomer mazot asita li. What have you done to me? Lama lo higarat li ki ishtechahi. He obviously got the message. Doesn't mean Hashem spoke to Paro. It means that he sent him this plague, and he understood something's wrong here. Lama amarta achotihi Vayikach ota li liisha, ve'ata hine ishtecha kach v'lech. Why did you say this is you claim this is your sister? I took her to be my wife, as if the paro has no other wives, but another wife, yeah? And now, here's your wife, take her and go. Then, vayitzav alav paro anashim, vayishalchu oto ve'ishto ve'et kol asher lo. Then Paro commanded various sorts of people that they sent him and his people away, right? A certain escort away from Mitzrayim, to leave Mitzrayim together.
A couple of questions. First of all, didn't Abraham compound his hate by taking all that stuff and then not even giving it back when he got Sarah back? I mean, it's bad enough that he passed off his wife under false pretenses.
If you maintain, as the Ramban does, that it was wrong, so that is Taka questions, more question of the Ramban's approach. But other people would say he got these gifts. Mm-hmm. Now, when he left with Beruchush Gadol. He left Mitzrayim, Beruchush Gadol, with a lot of wealth. And that the going down to Mitzrayim was in order to take that which was in Mitzrayim and raise it up, so to speak, to bring it on Aliyah, if you will.
That.
Huh?
I said we do that when we go to Mitzrayim. Then my second question would be, now I just had a blank. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, okay, Helen, please.
Go, Helen, I'll come back.
Interrupt you.
No, I actually
Okay.
forgot because after Nate spoke, he got so excited, I moved on. I forgot to come to it. Sorry.
They use the word Isha. I think Paro thinks he does protest too much. I don't think he really cares
Right.
if she has a marital status
Right.
or not.
But he didn't kill Avram Avinu, thank God. He let him go. He did.
Right.
Why? Because he has a plague on him.
But the fact they use the word, we don't care who she's got.
Fair enough.
That's it. But
Fair
then
enough.
There's another problem
Fair
with
enough.
Rashi.
Okay.
He claims that they're used to dark-skinned women, and she appears very beautiful, also because she's fair-skinned. Rashi is mentioning that point. In Shir Shirim, we say Shora
Ani v'na'ava, right.
So it's cultural how Rashi sees beauty at 1200 or 1100
Versus what it was in
and
the.
Shlomo HaMelech
A
sees-
fair point. A fair
Oh,
point. Rashi is quoting the
yeah,
Medrash,
always
though,
cultural.
and the Medrash is from the ancient Near East as well, from Eretz Yisrael. But okay, but it could be. Also, the description. I mean, others among the commentators say that the issue was that these people were. It's not the dark skin that was the issue. It was that they were actually very crass and low in terms of their morality. And their mechuarim, their ugliness, was in their actions. Again, we could debate it on and on. I mean, the Radak wants to say, back to Radak, that the people in Mitzrayim, they're not nice, or they're not beautiful. They're not beautiful like the people of Canaan. I mean, we don't think the people of Canaan were so moral themselves. Avalhem ki'urim, they're ugly. Kihem dromiyim behem shtufim bezima. Because they are southerners and they are filled with licentiousness. Therefore, Avram was worried as he's coming to Mitzrayim. He said, these people, they're going to see that you're beautiful. They're going to take you immediately. You're going to stand out compared to everybody else who's here. And that makes you more exotic. They're going to take you. And then when we're finished, we're in big trouble. So, it's a feature. Who is next? Please. Debbie, please.
So I think that Hashem let Abraham go as far as he did, which happens often in the Torah, because he's going to be the father of the nation, and obviously he picked him for good reasons, but it's kind of like how we try not to watch when we first let our children on the two-wheeler without the training wheels
Yeah.
go around the block. I think, although he came back with the plagues, I think he, was testing the situation.
Yeah, it could be.
knowing that,
It's not going to
at
be
this
ideal.
point,
Right.
he might have to step in, but that's a lesson not only to Abraham and Sarah, but it's a lesson to us and everybody else that's reading the Torah.
There's something to that.
I
Yeah.
have one other point.
Please.
Going back to when I was very young, going to Israel in the late 60s and early 70s, me who had actually marched for civil rights here in the
Wow.
US, I was appalled on this issue that when I got to Israel, I had a family member who was married to somebody, a Temanite, and the daughter was like absolutely gorgeous. I mean, really gorgeous. And they were starting for Miss Israel, and they lived in Beersheba. And she was talking about when I was visiting, oh, she'd really want to do that, but she knows she can never win because her skin is too dark.
Times have changed.
Yeah.
But
See, some things are for the better.
thank God.
I don't disagree.
But I mean, even in the late 60s, early 70s, in Israel, that whole issue.
Yeah.
Okay, that's okay.
Was
Fair
this
enough.
considered a test? One of his tests?
Yeah, according to almost everybody, he passed the test with flying colors. The Ramban doesn't think this is one of the 10 tests because he doesn't think Avram passed with flying colors. This one. So, but everyone else seems to think so. Please.
I was just going to say that there's nowhere in here that Abraham does any teshuva for this or says, "Oh, I did wrong," which kind of
Right, which
lends
leads you in the
credence
direction
to
of saying,
thinking
like,
that
right.
it wasn't wrong.
yeah, could be.
This is a miracle. God does perform a miracle in this case. He sends
But
a
that's what
plague.
Deborah was saying. That his back is to
Yeah.
the wall already after you've
Yeah.
done his thing, and he's out of options. Now Hashem step in at the last minute. There's no other.
Okay,
Nothing
but
else is
do
going to
any
happen.
of the commentators say anything about that? Like, well, you have to put in your preparation beforehand.
Yeah,
Or
that's
here
what I just
what-
quoted from the Radak. Ein
Okay.
somchin ala nes. We don't rely on miracles. Doesn't mean we don't believe in miracles. We don't rely on miracles.
Well,
We do
does
everything that
any
we
one
can.
of them say he should have relied on the miracle and not put her in that situation?
Because the lesson is not, to do the best you can.
Right. No, that
Not
right.
rely on
Right.
the
Right, but that's the Ramban saying he shouldn't have brought her to Egypt. He shouldn't have gone to Egypt. He should have stayed in Eretz Yisrael. And most of the Mefarshim disagree with that. By the way, some of the Mefarshim disagree with Rashi when it says L'man yitav li v'avoreich v'chayta nafshi b'glalech. It's not two different statements. So that I'll have benefit. Rashi says, well, that's gifts, but others see it as so that I will have a benefit. You know what that benefit is? I will stay alive on your account.
Yeah.
No, it's not everyone agrees with Rashi's approach, and among the Achronim, there are those who, by the way, Rashi and the Ibn Ezra both hold this way that it's about getting the gifts. But there are others who say it's not really to be read that way. The Sforno, the Malbim, the Orachaim. There are others who they just didn't. Rashar Hirsch, the Maharal of Prague, and his commentary on Rashi seem to say like it's not that he really wanted material gifts. They happen to come. But that I would answer a little more for there was no quid pro quo thought in this, in this experience per se, and okay, so that's hey, please,
This is going to happen again with Avimelech. He's going to
Yeah.
going to do the same.
yeah,
Which also lends credence.
right.
that-
It's gonna happen with Avimelech. It's gonna happen with Yitzchak Avinu
That
and
it wasn't
Avimelech.
wrong. He didn't do teshuva. He
Rivka, right.
wasn't punished.
Right.
Okay.
They lived in a dangerous neighborhood.
But was it wrong to
Yeah,
leave
right.
Eretz Yisrael?
That's the
That's
question.
the real
That's the
question.
Ramban says that he shouldn't have left Eretz Yisrael. Rashi
God
says,
didn't tell
of
him.
course he should have left Eretz Yisrael. That was the Nisayon. Was he prepared to say, I believe that Hashem, with perfect faith, I believe Hashem told me I'm going to have children. I'll have children. I believe he told me I'm going to get the land of Israel, get the land of Israel. But right now I have to leave anyway. I still hold the promise in my heart, but I have to leave because I don't have any food to eat and I'm not going to die here. That's exactly it. But Ramban says that was a mistake. He shouldn't have done that. So.
What about Shelley's question that you're supposed to die? This is one of the things you're supposed to die rather than to do. And Abraham kept the Torah. You're supposed to die.
Yeah. So the question not really on Avraham, the question would have really been on Sarah
Sarah.
Imenu. Right?
Because he was sort of putting her in.
Well, he was putting her, he wasn't putting her, but that prohibition and the Yarek Val Yavor technically would have been on Sarah Imenu to do. And there
She's
is
being raped. You could
so that was
consider
going to
it as
say,
a
without
rape.
getting into too many of the technicalities, It's not clear that it's a yarg val yavor if the individual is, God forbid, passive and forced and compelled and all of this. This was our discussion, if you remember, years ago about Esther Hamalka, about Esther Hamalka's predicament, and actually this is very famously, it's sort of out of order, but I'll say it now anyway. So it's an early Dvar Torah. One year, which was probably a very raw year, I think, in terms of shir, it was very graphic and very challenging to read and to learn, describes that Rabbi Akiva was trying to teach Parshat Chayei Sarah to people, and they were sort of falling asleep. So to wake them up, he said to them, why did Esther Hamalka have the merit to rule over 127 provinces? That's how many provinces Achashverosh was ruling. Why did she merit that? Everyone was like, what? He said, because Sarah Imenu lived to be 127 years of age. Everyone was woke up, like, what? What are you talking about? So we talked a lot at that time about the parallels between Sarah Imenu and Esther Hamalka, and that Esther Hamalka's whole tefillah is for my mother's mother, my elder Baba, my Sarah Imenu. You saved her. You sent Negaim Gedolim against the evil king. Well, what are you going to do for me with Achashverosh? And it didn't happen for her, in fact. And she lived at a time of Hester Panim, of hiding the divine countenance. And that's so much of the book of Esther, of the hiddenness of Hashem in that story. And there's a real layer of tragedy in that story. There really is. And it's a function, a feature of the reality of being in the time of Hester Panim. Sarah Imenu is at such a high level. Hashem stepped in. There's an ace right there. What's interesting is it comes, I guess, full circle to that piece from the Radak from before. It's not a lack of belief in Hashem's capability. It's lack of belief in whether we're worthy of being on such a level as individuals, but also on a generational level. And when there are only two Jews, Avram and Sarah, they're the highest of the high spiritually. So that's one thing. But Esther Malka, as great as she was still not on. It's not necessarily about her. It's that the whole the generation, there was much more baggage for the Jewish people at the time of Esther Panim. Everything, the miracles, they were all hidden.
But I thought, you're talking about generations now. I thought even in Egypt or Canaan or something like that, after the flood, people were not as immoral as they were. It's called Yurat Hashem, right? Avimelech is going to say,
Yurat Elokim. Yeah.
Elokim, okay.
Right, but that doesn't mean there aren't exceptions, and doesn't mean the capacity for human depravity has been washed away entirely. It means that it's abated as a trend. It means that there's a new hope for a basic morality and a moral code that humanity, the Bnei Noach, are called to.
But were they better? Even as
Were
bad
they
as
better?
Canaan or Egypt was.
It's hard for me to figure out and assess, what's what. Hashem made a covenant with Noach. He won't destroy the world again by water, and therefore, a flood.
He destroyed Sodom.
Yeah, Sodom was destroyed as a localized destruction. It was by fire and not by water. So,
exactly.
But these are all excellent questions. The questions are better than the answer I could provide because they started to ask questions about, the workings of how Hashgacha providence works.
The commentators are just usually have such wonderful answers to everything. They usually got really great questions, and a lot of times, even though the answers may conflict,
well, here I think this is actually a prime example of that. Is like, we're confronting the human reality of the promises that we were given. We weren't probably any of us in this generation heard directly from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We don't have Nevi'im, but we heard from our parents, we heard from our teachers, we heard from our previous generations that promises the class. We actually, that's why some would say maybe I harp on it too much, but I feel that it's not just because it's fodder for drashot, for sermons. It's the reality of the moment that we're in. We're living in absolutely remarkable times. One of the major promises that was given to Avraham Avinu, Sarah Imenu, all the generations, we're living it. We're mamash living it. It's in Eretz Yisrael. It's in Medinat Yisrael. It's without parallel in our own history, and it's in certain ways uncharted territory. It really is, and it's a remarkable thing.
Yesterday was talking about a lot in reference
yeah,
to this thing.
yeah.
I mean, we're living it because halachically.
Right.
All these questions that nobody even asked for 2,000 years
Are suddenly up.
are now being verbalized.
Yeah.
and
Very
discussed. It's great.
amazing.
Yeah, yeah. So and that's where you see it. It's like so, all these, if you were having this shiur 200 years ago, I say, but Rabbi, come on, it's like it's 1800 years and there's nothing's happening, or we're not really much closer. And I would say, well, the Pasha is going to do something nice for the Jews, going to let us have a little place to pray. It'd be very nice in Yerushalayim, which goes by most of the world by the name Al-Quds, under the Ottoman Empire, Muslim, and we have a wall, and it's a wailing wall, and well, what about the Temple Mount? We'll never control that. We'll never go there, et cetera, et cetera. These are, so you just think where we are today, and I don't have to sell that in this crowd, or, you understand it viscerally, but that's quite something. But most of our what we're seeing here is there was a promise, but already in the day of Avram Avinu, he couldn't even live it out entirely. There was one challenge after another, challenge. So here he's he's going down to Mitzrayim, and he realizes. And Rashi, of course, has 3 different ideas about what does it mean that he says, "Behold, you're very beautiful." One is that they didn't have a connection enough to each other that they're so based on the Medrash. In fact, we should probably see that Rashi inside. Nayadati. Now I know. I'm on page 56, verse 11. Until now, said the Medrash, he didn't recognize how beautiful she was. Why now he recognized how beautiful it was because of what they were about to go into, but he really was oblivious until now. That's one opinion. Davar acher, another approach, says the Rashi. Minhag olam sh'ayidei torach haderech adam mitbazev zot amda biyofya. This was high praise for her because they had spent their whole time traveling, and it's the way of the world that when a person is busy traveling, eventually they become more degraded in how they look and their appearance. They're busy with just staying alive, survival. She stayed with her beauty was pristine. That's the second idea. Third, upshuta shemekra, the direct understanding. Hinei na, right? Na meaning here not pleased, but now. Higia hasha'a sheish ledugal yofech. Now I have to worry about your beauty. I don't have to worry about it in other places. Yadati. I knew. Zeyamim rabim. I knew it already for a long time. I didn't discover it now. Ki isha yifat mare'at v'achshav anu bayim bein anashim shchorim u'mechuarim achem shel kush v'shlohurgu v'isha yafa. What Helen was referring to before. That's the whole idea. We're going now into this place with these dark-skinned people, and they're ugly, right? Again, and you have it already in the Middle Ages. Some of the commentators understanding it as these were very, very coarse people, and they were not going to take. They were not going to be able to ignore the arrival of this woman in their presence. They were going to snatch her up very quickly. 3 approaches. Why did Rashi give us 3 approaches? Even within Rashi, there is a multiplicity of voices. It's not poskening a halach. You have to accept this one or this one or this one. At a certain level, it's like take your pick. But on another level, there are multiple planes of understanding. Pshuto shomikra means here is what the words actually mean. Means I've always known you're very beautiful, but now I have to be worried about it because of where we're going. There's 2 other opinions that come before it, both of which are midrashic in nature. And midrashic in nature means that they are operating on another layer of meaning. If you push my back to the wall and say, what is the translation of these words? It's pshuto, according to Rashi, you would say it's pshuto shemikra. It's what the literal rendering of the words means. It's a translation. But on another level, there are other things going on. So one of them is a moral description of she did not lose her beauty. It was sustained. Mm-hmm. Another one is that the fact remains she was in a situation where he and she were such moral people they didn't recognize each other's beauty. 5 more minutes, okay? Before we meet, 5. You can stay if you like, but 5 minutes. He didn't recognize her beauty, and an appreciation for it. Now they were going. Oh, now it dawned on him, kind of thing, Please.
When we're introduced to Sarah, the first thing we hear about her, she's an Akara. So when you look at somebody and what is their attraction to you, they may have many facets. You are only interested in that one thing that you see
Yeah.
that puts the spark on. So at that moment, Avram was telling you already, I couldn't care less about her beauty, her this or that. This one thing that I saw in her at that moment
Interesting.
is the reason I'm connecting to her.
Very good. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. Fair enough. I wanted to just mention a little bit along these lines. We took the two planes, the plane of Pshat and the plane of Medrash. There's a Ramban right here. It says, I know that there is a Medrash about this that has something to do with their tzniut. You know, and he writes, I know it's a received tradition, so I'm not arguing it's Midrash Kabbalah, ba'anava shebahem, that they had this great humility, one with the other. V'nismach lamikra. I will say that we'll stick with we'll rely just on the words of the Chumash itself. אבל אין צורך לכל הדברים האלה שאין מילת נע, מורה על דבר שיתחדש בעירה בלבד, אבל כל דבר הווה ועומד יאמרו כן. הוא רומז על עניין לומר שהוא עתה ככה, meaning, הנה נא ידעתי could be read as, now I discovered that you're so beautiful. That's one of the readings of Rashi, the one quoting from the Medrash, one of them quoting from the Medrash. The Ramban says, that's a received tradition, I'm not taking it away. Now what's its value? We learned something about discovering. You could, shape it into beautiful drasha, something like that. It's good for Sheva Brachos or whatever. But the Ramban says, yeah, but I'm just looking at the words. Hine naya, that doesn't mean now I know. It's now I have to be concerned about this because of the moment that we're up to. Understand?
Based on the Peshat, you still have the problem that this is going to be.
Wait, Moshe, give 1 second. It's Shelley's talking. 1 second. I'll get to take you next. 1 second, please.
You still have, on Peshat, you have a bigger problem. Peshat is why he says this right before they get to Egypt, as opposed to why doesn't he say this when they're still in Canaan and he's trying to figure out whether to go to Egypt or not.
It's as they're approaching, right?
Yeah. Why would you first come up with this now in a
Good. So I said that was the Radak. The Radak was saying that he started, as he's going, he's realizing, wow, I really got us into a problem here. I got us into a pickle. He starts realizing that they did this. He started seeing the people, stragglers. So he started realizing they'll want to take her away. So I'm just reading the Radak. Had he known this initially, had he understood this initially when he was in the land of Canaan, he would not have gone to Egypt in the first place. He would have just stayed put and stayed with the famine and dealt with it. But now that he took the steps to Egypt and he's almost there, it's not 5 minutes away. You're walking, he's in by foot. So he starts seeing the people at the border area, and he realizes, what have I done? Now we need a contingency plan. Okay. So much like a contingency. Most you want to say something, perception.
Well, she said something about what he saw in her. What was the perception? There's many levels and many interpretations. What was the one element that was important and significant?
Yeah, right. Well, that's exactly what Helen's saying. There's what one element.
Said it better than
he said it better. It's good. Okay, that's all we have time. Oh, sorry, you want to say something?
Was Eliezer with him?
No.
Oh, okay.
Eliezer comes later.
No, the reason I asked, because
I know, he comes later. He's not in this story yet. He's later.
Okay.